This is a skull of a modern human, and this is from a Neanderthal. Look closely and you can see that this one has a slightly longer brain case. Most scientists believe that these are two separate species, and there wasn't much interaction between the two. But now we know there was interbreeding, and that all non-Africans living today are part Neanderthal. The researchers extracted DNA from Neanderthal fossils and compared it with that taken from people living today. They found that the DNA of Europeans and Asians is Neanderthal.
It's a very exciting discovery because it gives us really the first strong evidence that there was interbreeding with people like the Neanderthals. And it means that modern humans in different parts of the world may have slightly different mixes.
And the Neanderthal in me has always said Neanderthal, I stand quite corrected.
There are many jokes about people behaving like Neanderthals, but it seems the joke could be on us. Research has found that many human beings actually have Neanderthal DNA, proving there's an evolutionary link.
The Neanderthal, that beastly evolutionary outcast, thought to be extinct for 30,000 years. But scientists believe they've picked up the trail of that hairy historic reject in the most surprising of places.
In us, many of us anyway, there is new evidence that humans inherited up to 4% of our DNA from Neanderthals.
The study in the journal Science is based on painstaking research into 3 Neanderthal bone fragments. Scientists reconstructed the Neanderthal genetic code and compared it to modern humans from across the globe and found there was up to a 4% match with humans everywhere but from Africa. The theory is that our human ancestors migrating out of Africa some 70,000 years ago had some amorous encounters with Neanderthals somewhere in the Middle East.
We mean that they interbred or they had sex.
This is the first real evidence Neanderthals and humans had kids, which means, despite the old assumption that Neanderthals disappeared from the evolutionary chart,
Neanderthals aren't quite extinct. They all live on a little bit in many of us.
The research is part of a major project mapping the Neanderthal's genome and hopefully providing firm answers to a number of evolutionary questions.
If you've ever accused someone of being a Neanderthal, then tonight you've been proved right. But it takes one to know one, because scientists have just released studies that show we are all partly Neanderthal. For the first time ever, DNA analysis has proved that early modern humans interbred with our closest evolutionary relatives. Stephanie West has this report.
It's a debate that's engaged scientists for 100 years or more. What's our link with Neanderthal man and woman, and moreover, did we ever mate? Now the truth is out of the box. According to research released tonight, DNA evidence shows modern humans interbred with Neanderthal.
People like me have argued that there might have been interbreeding in the past, but all trace of it could have disappeared. This shows it didn't disappear, and it's there at a reasonable level.
For the last 4 years, a team of 50 international scientists in Germany have been extracting DNA from Neanderthal bones, looking to resurrect their genetic code. But in so doing, they found this new evidence that settled the long-standing debate. Scientists found DNA evidence they began interbreeding at least 50,000 years before Neanderthals became extinct. As to what these scientists say, it's a potential goal to help establish what makes us unique. In fact, in modern times, Neanderthal has become a handy word for brutish, unevolved behaviour, as in this 1950s cult classic. But at the Natural History Museum, they hope this discovery will lead to a little more understanding towards our past partners.
What we don't know yet is what these genes might be doing. So the genes that came from Neanderthals, we don't yet know what their significance might be. They were distinct from us, but they were actually quite advanced humans. They could walk upright as well as we can. Their brains were as large as ours. They were pretty good at what they did in terms of stone tool making. They buried their dead, so they had some very human features. And what this research also shows is that there are at least 70 genes that have been picked up that seem to be unique to the modern human line.
Before disappearing from the face of the Earth 28,000 years ago, Neanderthals shared a common offspring with Cro-Magnon man, an early Homo sapien. They hunted the same territories and lived through the same dangers in a cohabitation that lasted for 10,000 years. Neanderthal appeared 400,000 years ago in a region stretching from the Middle East to Europe. 300,000 years later, Homo sapien crossed paths.
How is this discovery significant?
Well, it's a major scientific advance. If a few years ago somebody would have told me that we would be able to obtain the complete nuclear genome of an extinct species of human, I would not have believed it at all. But it happened. And what's important to understand is that beyond the study of the Neanderthals themselves, this discovery is important to understand the very nature of modern humans. We can really understand what makes modern humans really different from the other living beings.
Is it possible to say, though, what is Neanderthal about us? How has Neanderthal DNA sort of impacted modern humans?
Well, first of all, the study showed that this integration of genetic material is visible only in non-Africans, in Asians and Europeans, and this is related to the way this crossing between the two species occurred. But it's very limited. It's between 1% and 4%, and it's very important to understand that out of the 3.5 billion base pairs, which are the coding of our DNA, only 3% are really what geneticists call genes. But what we know is that we have some genes in modern humans which are different from what is found in Neanderthals.
Jean-Jacques Blin, let me stop you there because I want to turn to Dimitri Karadimas now. Now, you're an anthropologist. You're looking at this from a slightly different angle. But how do you think that this discovery could impact the way that we look at ourselves and our origins?
Yes, I think it's quite interesting. It's fascinating. Just because we had this idea that we could be completely pure species. In that, I mean that Homo sapiens could be something completely different from the other hominids that exist. Now, if the result that is bring to us shows that actually for a part of the actual humans, we have some elements coming from the Neanderthal genes. So it will be interesting because we cannot go on with the idea that we are a complete pure species. Mm-hmm. So we have something common with another one.
So there's a lot more than just science in all of this and sort of how Neanderthal DNA is impacting us. It's also how to do with our own self-image.